All right, press record. So this is recorded for later. Okay. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. I'll try to be a little quicker than last time I hung out for ever last week, but we'll see how long this takes. All right, let's go through the watch list from last week really quick, and we can kind of just see how this played out. So, we liked how this was holding here going into last week. Kind of got a little bit of a move on AHI. I didn't play this one. It ultimately died off. It is removed from my watch list going forward. Let's just quickly go through these. ALLK, this was the consolidation that we liked last weekend going into this week. It lost support. It did kind of recover a little bit, and then it did this funky little deal. So the setup that I wanted to work out was a breakout like this. Didn't happen, so never played it. I do have it back on watch for this break of 5 since it sucked back up and reclaimed these key levels. AREC. Um, this one did get the break over 356, but just quickly gave it back and kind of died off. I'm not as interested anymore. If you look on the daily here, kind of has like a head and shoulders look. I mean, if this holds up, maybe we revisit, but not as interested since it had a false breakout there. Let's see, next, AUR. This one, pretty damn good. I never ended up playing it, but it got that flat top break here, the 256 up into the 270s. Now we kind of have this potential cup and handle set up. Maybe if we get a dip down, I'm going to put an alert here for crosses below 260 to alert me, because this area in here now should be support, hopefully. So if we get a kind of a cup and handle look for the break of 280, this was nice. If you remember, this one was the potential buyout news or something with like Microsoft, or I don't know, I don't even remember, but we'll see if it gets momentum. Not really any volume push on that is the only thing. So let's see if we get something nice here on the pullback. Maybe we enter for the break. I'll also put a alert here for crosses above 280. Okay. Next, AVYA. This one kind of died off. This was holding nicely here. Made this huge move. We did play this on whatever day this was, and got a nice move. So it did hold that support area that we were talking about, but now it's kind of backside, so not really interested in that one anymore. BORR came up here, really looked great, gapped down, so off my radar again. CFEI, we had a really nice trade off this one. If you remember, this was one of my favorite setups going in. This was the cup and handle that we watched going into last week. Beautiful gap up, beautiful trade. We caught this one on the floor. I think I posted on Twitter too. Nice trade for me. So something to note here. Look how similar this setup is to what we've got going now on AUR. Okay. Very similar on the hourly, right? Those are the things you want to start to pay attention to. This is the pattern recognition. You've seen it play out before. So what's possible here? A big move up to, maybe even 350 if CFEI is something that can be trusted. These don't always work, but it's just nice to pay attention to that. Okay, drug. Just giving it all back. The daily, just kind of backside, fading off. Not interested. FRGE. This one's holding up nicely. Look at this on the hourly. You've got higher lows against a flat top 450. Let's put an alert here. Crosses above 450. We'll set that alert. So, we want to see it break above towards 5 and then ultimately that 528 break. So let's put a line there. Let's create an alert with the drawing. Crosses above. And we'll also do a $5 psych level break as well, just to be aware. And really, we want this to hold. Let's put an alert at 4 just so we know. That's kind of support level to pay attention to. Okay, FRG. HOLI still holding up here. More expensive stock. I'm less interested in these, but made a nice move on volume. Kind of low volume consolidation. Started to get a little pop there. If you look on the hourly zoomed in, that's a nice little hourly flag. Nice little ascending triangle on the 5, low volume. I'm going to keep it on the radar just in case, but stocks that are above $10 or so, just because of the range and everything, I'm less interested in anyways. So let's see. If you guys are watching, shoot me a message. I want to make sure audio is okay and everything's going so far. I don't want to be unaware of something with the stream that's kind of fucking up. But I'll keep going. INAB. This one, let's see. We liked holding support here, kind of made a move, but now it's kind of breaking down. Not super interested in this type of action, so not really interested in this one anymore. Sounds good. Okay, great. Thanks. LQDA, this is that one that I'm interested in for fundamental reasons. I started adding low fives and upper fours in here on this washout day. We kind of still have this inverse head and shoulders look here. I do think this break above 630s area up towards 7 is probable. So I'm just continuing to swing this. I don't have a huge position. I don't monitor it throughout the day. Coop Cants, no, I don't stream during trading. I'm very locked in. I got so much going on. Maybe it's something I'll do in the future, but it's not what I do right now. So swinging this. Nerve, man, this one was fucking awesome. Called this on the floor, called this on Twitter. Ads off of 860. And I was scaling all the way up into this move. Could still continue to go up here, grind up. This not really much ramping volume here, but like, just starting to retrace. I mean, this could, let's see, the next level we need to get over is this 12. I'm going to put an alert there. I don't have any more of this position now, but this was great off that 860 level that we talked about on stream last week. Let's see, NVTA. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. NUWE. Okay. NUWE, we liked how this was holding up. It failed. Not interested. Party, this was awesome. Okay. When we talked last week, it had this kind of daily scoop little flag thing, and it has been breaking out nicely. I didn't really swing this, but I did trade this a few times intraday on this move up because I liked the strength of the daily. So still in breakout mode. Obviously, this 267 is the next break level for the actual breakout move up. Now we do have the 200s up here at 320. That is a good area to think of as resistance. You've also got these levels up here that it's running into. So this would be a nice target if this flag breaks out over that 260s. Sorry, here. Trading options, shares. Yeah, I do small cap shares. Okay, let's see. Next, PXMD. This was where it had a lot of strength. It's ultimately just faded. Got a little pop here. I'm not really interested in this. It's a recent IPO. These, not too much chart history to go off of. RVPH, this one's still consolidating strongly on the hourly. It tried to break out here and kind of failed, so that gives me less conviction in it. But on the daily, still holding strong here. Now, we might need to come down here and test this 180 pivot. So I'm going to put a line here and all. If it holds above this 180 pivot, I'm still interested. I would rather it stay above here if it's going to go. I think Herv's still swinging this one, so I'll also alert myself above 275. Okay. Last one, USEA. This one stayed strong after the review from last week. I didn't really play this one, but it's been on a slow grind up, so still on watch. Okay. So that was last week's watch list and how some of those things played out. You can see some of those strongest charts that I was really interested in, CFVI and Nerve, gave us some nice moves. So, that's a great reason why you keep them on the watch list. That's a great reason why when you hear those things on scanners, you are already well aware of the context of what's going on. It can give you some conviction to buy dips intraday because you know that there's strength on the larger pattern. Okay, so let's jump into really what I wanted to talk about, and that is last week's trading because it was a really, really, really tricky day. I was red. I didn't trade that poorly, but there were some mistakes that I made, but really, really tough action in there, so we're going to go over some of that. First of all, DMS. Let's do this. I'm not going to do my screen record, but I am going to do my executions on the chart so we can kind of just quickly talk through how these all went down. DMS was after hours gapper the day before, kind of held up, held support at the open and popped up. So when it popped up on, look at that low volume sell off and then the high volume rip through VWAP. So it's been a few weeks, but we had this kind of recurring pattern going for a while where a low volume sell off and a high volume rip through VWAP was a really strong indicator to start buying dips. Now, this thing didn't really start offering dips until, we didn't get much here to buy dips off of. It just kind of was in straight grind. So we had to be patient for our buys here. I'll zoom in here on the 1 and the 5. So you can see this 5-minute flag here. And before I go into my executions on this thing, you get the move up, you get this nice VPA pullback, and then we get this failed breakout, right? We've been seeing a lot of this, just quick high a day stuff. Okay, that's what we see on the 5. It ultimately ended up just riding the 8 and getting a nice stick move, but I wasn't there for that, and I'll show you why. So here on the 1, this pulls back and I start slamming shares exactly where I should, right? I mean, it could have come down. I could have been a little lower here on 12. If we look left here, that's kind of this breakout area from after hours. So I probably should have marked this level and that should have been my risk level. But I'm really happy with my entries right here. When this came down, I knew the VPA was good. I knew I needed to hit it hard. I did. When it started to go up here, you can see when it started to go up here, and then kind of rolled over. Let's see, kind of rolled over. There's no reason I should have been shaken out here. I cut this. This is one of my biggest mistakes from Friday, was getting shaken out for a break-even trade right here when it was still above support. I mean, if I'm going to take this entry here off of this level, I mean, I really need to be willing to risk like, 210 or so. That's 6 cents, would have been a decent sized loss, but that's how you got to play this game. I should have been in long and strong, held this position for that move, even though it did kind of roll over on me. I guess when I saw it break 220, I saw this flat top on the 1. Flat tops on the 1, once they break, I want them to go. So this thing broke, fucked around, broke again, fucked around, red candle, all the way back down here to my entry. So if you can imagine that action, like it looks like it wants to break, failed breakout, drops back down. This is an example of the 1 shaking you out, right? So then I should have been in for this move to the high of day. Knowing how this market has been, I would be out most for sure in here. It would have been a really nice trade, and I missed it. After that failed breakout, it goes sideways and ends up going. I don't know how you stay with this thing once it does that. Look at that high volume stuff. You do get this kind of low volume consolidation. It does hold support. I mean, maybe you're in for this, but this is not the type of setup that I'm going to be in this market, because just shit has been breaking down. I mean, this could have easily just washed from here. So wasn't in on that. Once I missed that, I started trying to buy off this pivot. 1 minute flag. I tried to buy into the break. Not a great idea. Ended up taking it off like right at my average because it didn't immediately go, and I was very ready for that. So started to scale in here again, 228. If you look, that's the pivot here. So got a little stick up, but ultimately this just grinded down, kind of chopped me up. I did get a little bit of move here, but I wanted this to go, right? This was the 5-minute setup. VPA was nice. I was in with size, and I wanted it to go. So took a cut there when it ultimately flushed down on me and didn't work out. Probably should have scaled some into this 232 resistance, but really trying to be here for, at least 7 to 10 cents. I mean, I kind of got, by the time I got my average, I don't think I quite got 7 cents. So that's why I wasn't scaling. Would have been definitely scaling up here into the top of the flagpole. Didn't get it. So took a cut there. If we keep going left here, this thing just consolidated sideways, kept holding this level here. So I entered again here off support. Not too upset with these buys. I mean, these ones in the 30s, I mean, this is where I think it's going to go. Another failed breakout. So I stop out again. And when this breaks down through this support, I get out, thankfully, here at 225 before it washes all the way down into this, low 210s area. Not great trading, but I did give myself a chance a few times. I did a pretty good job of not adding too many shares on break levels. So this one, I ended up red on this name. This is one of my redder names. Okay, if we keep going to the right here, we hold down in those areas, we come back up. Here's the thing, not a whole lot of volume on this push up. If we zoom in on this, we do get ramping volume in comparison to the consolidation area, but it's very light compared to early in the day when we got the nice big push, right? So that should have been warning flag for me on this 5-minute flag. I still tried it, quickly taking it off like right above average, buying on lows. Like I'm a little more dialed in by this time of the day because I realize how shitty the day is. Buying on lows, stop out. Buying down here on the demand area. So this is a demand trade, less of a 5-minute flag, less of a pivot play, but I do have this trend line down here and I do have the upper trend line here, so there was some confluence to go off of. Buy some here. This was like my one nice trade on this thing, and it was on setup that I don't love to play. So caught that one. Tried the same shit again here down in the demand area. This time it just rolled over, so I just, took it off. Didn't get the action that I wanted seeing it pop back up, so I took it off. I don't know if I played this thing again. Yeah, so this, okay. So if we go back, look, we get a little bit more volume here on the move through VWAP. Kind of comes up and tests this area. We have a pivot here to play off of, this 218, 219. That's what I was trying to buy off of. Pretty good buying down low. Trying to keep it tight right there. Really wanted to be in for this. I added a lot on this push through 220. When I saw this hold this area and then I saw volume come in, I smacked 20,000 shares. Pretty aggressive right there. Immediately took 5 off at 222 up against these areas. The range is so low on this one. And then we get a 1-minute flag if we zoom in on here. This VPA was pretty nice on this 1-minute flag. I tried to stick with this thing to get the move at least to 225 to take some more off. This thing flushed on me in a second. I mean, there was nothing on the tape to see on this thing. It was just here, and then 1 second later it was here. So took a $1,000 loss to the face on that one. Then just trying again on this thing. I mean, this thing held up all day. You kept thinking like, okay, maybe this thing zombies back up. Maybe it squeezes shorts out, but it never really came. So ended up red overall on this name. Took a few good attempts, but this chart in a nutshell is a great example of, one, I definitely made mistakes, but two, I don't think I traded it that poorly and still, I think I lost like $1,800 on this name by the end of the day. So on days like Friday, you can trade not that bad and still get cut up. So that's just how it is sometimes. It's a protect capital kind of day. It was a slow week all week. Fridays are usually not that hot. I probably shouldn't have played as aggressive as I did, but I'm in that mindset right now where I'm trying to hit the gas. I want to be in for these moves with size. That's the state that I'm in my trading career, and those are going to pay off when we get a better market. So I'm going to spend less time on some of these other trades, but wanted to talk about that one. FFIE, let me get on the right day here. FFIE, tried this. This was basically break even. Had a really nice move here if I could have caught some on the front side, but in this market, like, where are you going to buy on this thing? There's no significant dips to really feel strong conviction off of. And by the time I tried to get the first significant dips, the first, 5-minute real pullback to VWAP, kind of layered into this thing, just didn't really do much. And it started bar coding, so I just gave up on this shit. I think it was basically break even. Not much to go over there. Let's go Nerve. Okay. Nerve. Called this one in Goblin Gang Discord. I misplayed this one a little bit, but I'll show you what I was looking at. One, we had the context of this bigger move, right? This was grinding off that 860, had a nice day here, and then felt like continuation was possible. If you look at this 5, look, it's almost like a not really an ascending triangle, but like this nice flat top area, higher lows. So when I saw this push up, I saw it pull back to VWAP. We had ADMA as a 5-minute flag. We had a trend line from the open. So I was buying here off of 11. That was what my idea was. This wasn't as well thought out as it should have been, okay? And I'll tell you why. If you look here, we push up. I started buying here. I bought a little more off of 11. Got a little heavier than I should have been, a little too early, and I really should have been willing to risk this 1067. I should have played this. I should have planned this trade out where I was not as heavy and could have afforded to hold down closer to this as my risk, because this would have been a really shallow pullback. This would have been really strong if it came up right there. I should have been willing to hold down in here. We do have, better support here at 1080. That's ultimately where it held. And look how close to the bottom I stopped out. So I feel really dumb about that. This was a mistake. I should have, at the very least, been able to risk 1080. This thing just started moving down on me and chopping sideways and not showing signs of strength, tiny volume. The bottom could have fallen out. I started getting scared. I just took it off, and it ultimately came back up. Didn't get the breakout, but I could have had a green trade. I could have at least, been in and not sold the bottom. So a little bit of a mistake there. Again, just, not big red, but some red adding to the day. Okay, that's nerve. PGen. This was a chart that I really liked. It's a chart that I still really like. I'll show this when we go over the watch list for next week. And I found this on my FinViz scanner, and I thought it looked really nice. Let's start on the daily, and I'll show you why I liked it. All right, wait for rejection. Why not cut at the trend line break? Because this trend line was so steep. Let's go back to nerve for a second. This trend line was so steep, and I liked this area, and I could have cut at the trend line. Ultimately, in retrospect, that's where I should have cut. But, in this market, traps are likely. When it started chilling down here, and the reason I cut this thing is when it started chilling down here beneath the trend line, that's ultimately when I took it off. I was trying to give it a chance to reclaim the trend line and fake all these people out, and it kind of did that. It just took longer than I was willing to wait. Okay, back to PGen. This was a lower volume name. This was like an off radar name, but I'll show you why I liked it. So on the daily, look at this thing. Really, really nice consolidation, ramping volume for the breakout through that trend line. Day one breakout, comes in on the 5, puts in this like ascending triangle look, and you can see, saw this in here. We kind of had this like cup and handle kind of intraday look here. Let's see, where is that? Yeah, it's like right here. So, really nice look here. And I thought this could curl and go. I thought maybe this could get some attention, break this flat top here on the 1 at 280. So I was positioned for that. I did buy a little bit higher because I thought the breakout move was imminent here. Again, another one that I sold the fucking bottom, like the absolute fucking bottom. This one I am pissed about. I'm pissed about how I traded this one because it was so dumb. Had some decent size here. If I'm going to hold down to this level, like why the hell would I not hold down to the 272? This is literally 1 cent lower. I should have given it a chance to, put in this higher low, which it did, but I sold the fucking bottom. And again, another one that didn't break out, but like the pattern was still intact. So just dumb. These slower off radar plays, this is a lesson learned for me that I'm going to carry forward, is if I'm taking these trades, I've got to establish proper risk levels. I can't be selling down here on a higher low. That was just really, really dumb. I need to position my size to where I can afford to hold above this level, or I'm going to be selling the bottom. Really, really stupid. Low volume name. I knew the bottom could fall out. I got scared. Just dumb. But that's a lesson learned for me. Yeah, I like Bookmap for SPY to see like big nodules and stuff. I don't really like it for these small caps. I can see what's going on the volume for how I trade Uzis. That's why I don't use Bookmap. for these. Okay, PGen, that was good. Higher. This one, let's get to the right day. This one looked great. This one, I shot my shot. Let's get to the 5. All right, so you look at this high volume stuff, consolidates on low volume, little 1 minute or little 5-minute flag there below VWAP. On the squeeze up, look at all that volume. That's definitely enough to get interested. Pulls back on descending volume to the 80 MA, 5-minute flag, exactly what we want to see. So I started hitting this thing. And I got a really nice entry there at 148. We started to get a flat top on the 1, which is what I want to see. I doubled my position on the break of 151. My fills there at 153 was just me getting skipped because it broke it with power and, ultimately not huge volume, but we didn't know that at the time because the candle was just breaking out. So took it. I gave this thing every fucking chance to go, and it came all the way down here. Even gave it to the pivot, and it came all the way down here and lost it. So I took it off. Took that loss, but this was as good of a setup as we had all day Friday. So I don't feel bad about this loss at all. This was me taking my shot on the trade. If this thing broke out, would have been a really nice win, but it didn't. Failed. And that's what we're seeing a lot of, stuff that looks like it's going to break out and then it fails. So that was higher. Let's see, Mogu. Okay, this one had a lot of attention. Actually had a play on this in pre-market as well. Okay, so this one, I was playing a flat top break, and this one I was kind of playing aggressive, buying this like consolidation, higher lows against a flat top, and so I was here for the break above. I had my trend line drawn, so I was scaling against it. Had more for the breakout and sold against 280. Took the rest off 285. Here actually after the open. This thing, okay, the reason I have my sells at 285, I remember this now. I had 1,500 shares left since my average was so low and this was grinding higher. I was like, hell, I'll just put a hard stop in and let this thing, rip if it wants to. And it kind of started to. And I was trying to sell up into 290, floating orders. Was not feeling me. I was about to write a ticket to Thinkorswim support. But ultimately it sold me out and I didn't have to write them. So a good thing because it flushed. So really nice trade into the open for me. But then let's look what happens, okay? Comes down, high volume flush, but pretty nice volume back through VWAP, right? And we start to get this consolidation here. Let me zoom back out for volume. Stuff candle, warning sign number 1, but we hold VWAP, we hold these pivots. Take this alert off. We hold these pivots and curl back up. And then we come here and we hold a higher low. So I'm soaking these shares in here, right? And then we start to get the trigger candle that we want, but it's a false break and ultimately breaks down. And I stop out down here. It was a nice 5-minute flag, not the best one. I mean, if you look at this thing, the warning signs are all these upper wicks here. The volume is not that compelling. It's pretty high volume here just in this consolidation, so not really that strong. So the breakdown, I tried to buy some demand here. Did a decent job of protecting myself on this. I think this was a small green trade, but this is just chop. This sideways consolidation, this is where I'm thinking U pattern. I was thinking, oh, maybe this thing squeezes back up if we can just break these levels. So I did a decent job of soaking down here off of 265. There was a couple of times that I did get shaken out like this one at 262. I didn't want to be for the big flush down. I didn't want to be down there, but this is the level that you got to buy and just be quick on the trigger to break down. You got to buy the ugly in this market. It's almost better right now to buy these lower flags under VWAP. Yeah, it kind of is. You want to be buying ugly in this market, and it sucks. The stuff that looks good is really getting shit on. It sucks. So still was just trying to buy low and sell high. Did a pretty good job of this. Then this thing ultimately broke down. it came back up and started trying to, this looked pretty nice. If we go look on the 5, this was setting up to do a nice squeeze through VWAP, and so I wanted to be there for it. Had some here, ultimately stopped out. I didn't have the greatest average, so when this came down, I stopped out. Tried again here when it pulled down. This was, let's see, what was that, 260? I was a little bit early with my buys. I thought it would probably hold this pivot area and then go if it was strong. Ended up getting out a little bit green, but just didn't have that conviction in it here, so I just took it off, and I was not having a good day, so just took it off. But again, didn't break out, false break right there and rolls over. Okay, AZRE. This one, let me get the right day. This one I saw on my FinViz scanner. And I think I alerted this one because the setup was really nice, right? Like, look at this thing. We had some consolidation levels here that it was kind of like flagging against and above for the higher break at this 590 area here, and holds up, holds that pivot, comes down, holds the pivot again. The VPA here is, really nice above this pivot. So I took entry right here, low 590s, exactly where I should be. And as soon as this thing started to go and get above 6, I start scaling a little bit. But man, I don't know if our Discord has 17,000 members. I don't know if there's shorts watching. I don't know if there's market makers watching, but it's like, man, if we put something that looks really good, it's just getting destroyed right now. And that's what happened here. I mean, I held until we lost support. I was in with anyone that took this trade, and I got some scales above 6 against these pivots, which I think was the right thing to do, but ultimately it just washes out on a really nice looking setup. I mean, that's good VPA. It's above a pivot. This is a trade that you take. I don't think I touched it again. Oh no, I tried. I bought here. Okay, I'll show you why I took this. Kept it on the radar. If you look on the 5, it's a little easier to see. We get this pullback down to a double pivot, right? The pullback was just a stab. I was just like, yeah, let's see if they hold this level. And I got some, and I was able to scale a little bit up here through this move, but, taking stuff off the table quickly in this market. APRN. This one was a little bit tricky too. Let's get to the right day. Okay, here we go. APRN. Oh man, I butchered this one. Regrets on this one. I'll show you why. So APRN, if you remember on Thursday, it gave us a really nice inverse head and shoulders at the end of the day that we banked big on. It was a really nice trade. So when I saw this thing put in another inverse head and shoulders again, I'm like, hell yeah. Like, I took it right here. I don't know why I took such small size on this. I mean, we had a open pivot. We had the some confluence here on this pivot that it was pulling back and setting up on. VPA, I mean, nothing to write home about on the VPA, but the levels were being respected, and I got the entry that I wanted. I mean, there wasn't much risk on this thing. I really should have taken this. Let's look left too. Let's see if there's any more confluence on this 733 level. Yeah, 733. Look how strong this is. Oh my gosh, I feel fucking stupid looking at this thing, man. I got to look left. I got to establish my risk levels a lot better than I did on Friday. That's key takeaway for me. So had the entry that I wanted, should have been a lot heavier here. Came up, give us another like kind of flat top look here. We get a higher low. Why did I take this off? Even this small position, why did I take this off? We get a higher low, and I'm well above my average. I just took it off. I was just like, tiny little higher high and fails. Why would I take that off? So dumb. And it ends up ripping without me. And then here I am trying to get back into the thing at the top of this move. Now I'm up in supply. I'm not at demand anymore. And ultimately just kind of get chopped up through this thing. I don't even know what my... clearly I took a loss here. So stupid. And here I am trying to buy off of orb now, and it just breaks down on me. So missed the front side of the move. This was one of the opportunities of the day that I saw, that I called, and that I fucked up. So one of my biggest mistakes. from Friday right here. Okay, APRN hit that SSR level as the low, added to the conviction of the inverse head and shoulders. Yeah, if it hit SSR on this day, yeah, I mean that can absolutely help things, and it got a really nice move. I mean, I should have been in big for this, and this would have been a really nice trade because I was all over this, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know why I did this because I was playing heavy in other areas of the day. I don't know why. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Okay, Pixie. So thin stocks in this price range scare me to death. So I was only playing this thing with 500 or 250 shares, and let's see. So when I was watching this thing, let's look. We got kind of this consolidation on this trend line, and I tried some, stopped out. I really liked this consolidation right here to just go. I didn't really want to be in for this bigger pullback, lower low from that wick that it put in right there, but ultimately it held. I was out for that, but then look at this. This is some really nice support here off this 31 level, so I re-entered as close to 31 as I could. Pretty happy with that entry right there, actually. And it worked out really nicely. I was able to scale half for about $1 move, and then I was able to get out of the rest, up here on the breakout. So happy with that trade. Didn't have a ton of size, but it was good enough to give me some money. This was an unbelievable setup that I missed, and understandably so. I mean, look how quiet this thing was all this time, and to catch that right there, I mean, this is still so quiet, but really, really gorgeous 1 minute look right there. If I would have seen that, man, could have slammed some size on that. The other thing too was this went off of, there was some other reverse split name. Was it INM? Let's see really quick. What time was that? 1400. Did INM put in a move at 4? No, this was later in the day. So it did go off of that, but that was not the one. This was just a beautiful 1 minute flag. So really wish I caught that. But I did not. So then tried it again off this trend line and support level. It's a little bit of a higher volume pullback there, but I just wanted to see if this demand level would hold. And it did, got a little bit off, stopped out, but ultimately it made another big move. This was where it ripped off of INM. They were both reverse split names. Should have recognized the sympathy there and slapped this. Would have been a huge move. Could have taken some size and had conviction on this because of the sympathy move. I mean, we're not seeing sympathies, but like this is about as good a sympathy action as you can find. So I traded this okay. I was green on the name, lots of missed opportunities, but this thing scared me. I wasn't willing to play at big size. So that's Pixie. That's how I did Pixie. Pets, low volume, but I mean the thing just was grinding up nicely when it pushed up on volume and gave us a 1 minute flag above these wicks. I took some here pretty aggressively, not the lowest entry, but once we got that high day, I quickly started scaling. When it didn't have any volume coming in to continue the move, I just took the rest off. Wish that I was buying, in these levels for the bigger moves, but didn't. And not a whole lot of range or volume on this one, so that's whatever. Okay, let's look at GovX. Did not trade. Well, I just was in the wrong part of the move on GovX. Tried this first 5 minute flag that it gave us here. Let's get zoomed right here. Nice VPA on the 5 here. Nice ADMA hold. But what do you know? Another failed breakout. Boom. So I was in, had size, again, a flat top here. These are so tempting for me to add into the break because in hot markets, okay, we can talk about this. In hot markets, when you see this type of action right here and you already have a position lower, now doubling, that's aggressive. That's maybe what you do in a hot market. Probably shouldn't have been doing that here. Probably shouldn't be doing it at all. But in a hotter market, if you have your proper entries off the ADMA and you're able to help break a wall on a flat top break, you can add size up your average a little bit, then you're not having to buy dips and average down, and then your position is, your average is higher than the price, and you have this heavy size. When you have a hot market and you can add into that strength, into those chipping walls, then these continue. That's how you can have huge size for a big breakout move. So I still do that even in this market when you have a really nice VPA good setup, but I mean, it is wrecking us right now to do that. I mean, we're getting false break stuff, and I'm having to stop out and take a loss or a break even, and it sucks. So that's what we're seeing a lot of right now, almost every flag right now. But eventually they're gonna start breaking out, and I want to be there when they do. So that's why I keep trading like this. Um, this, I think JD and some other people called this 135 level on the floor. I really should have been looking left on the daily. If we look here at the daily, I've got a lot of levels on this thing because it's been in play for so long. Come on. Here we go. If we look on the daily at this 135, wicks here. This was a nice pivot to try to play off of for intraday, and ultimately that pullback was relatively low volume after the stuff. So I know people saw this double bottom and got long, and that was the play. That was a really good one to get in on. You could have bought here off of VWAP, a little bit higher volume pullback, but they did hold it and continue to grind this thing up. Nice flag right here that I missed and didn't play. And then this thing just got into grind mode, started to trade really clean after it fucked us up before. This is just too high up here to be trying to play. So then when we had that much strength and that much volume, I did start trying to buy here again to see if it would grind up for me. I mean, ultimately just break even on this thing, just not much range here, and it's so high up. Try it again here on a demand area to see if we can get this inverse head and shoulders is what I wanted to see. Scaled a little bit here, but ultimately just took the rest off when it didn't want to show any strength. Tried here another time for a break-even trade because I had that flat top, didn't get the flat top break, so took it off. I can't remember if I was green or red on this. I was small red maybe or break even, but missed this whole move. This was the play right here. Let's see. Gazelle, send me a DM on Discord and I'll look into it. Okay, so that's GovX. All right, NVTA. This was a great chart. I'll show you how I tried to play this thing. Looking at the 5, now I know we had like some high volume stuff here, but if you look what was going on here on the hourly is where you can see it best. These wicks right here and this consolidation is all support on this 388, and we were flagging above that. This was all nice consolidation flagging above that. So we came in, I know it was some higher volume pullback, but then we came down here and we came back and kind of tested these levels. This is beautiful cup and handle / inverse head and shoulders look right here. So this is where I got interested and started buying pretty aggressively on these dips. And you can see with my fills here, I was using my bids a lot more to support this thing. And was giving it down here to VWAP, down here to the ADMA, like really trying to have conviction to hold this thing because the pattern looked so good. Was scaling at the top of the range best I could. Every time it would pop up, I was trying to scale, kept adding down here and scaling down here. Ultimately, it broke down and I was out when it did. Because this thing started to not look good. It was dicking around too long for me. So I think I ended up green by managing this well, but just fucking chop, man. A great pattern and just chop. So when it recovered and came back up and started to put in another flag on decent VPA, tried this thing again and stopped out. And ultimately it didn't really break out until after hours. Just chop. Really tricky action on great charts. It's just really, really tough to trade right now. Let's see. That was my Friday. I think I traded most of the names that were in play. Do you guys have any others on Friday that you want to look at really quick? I'm gonna go look at Gazelle really quick and see. Da, 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 da. Pixie, we looked at Pixie. What else do you want to see on Pixie uses? Yeah, Gazelle, I'm looking at it right now. Oh, Ruby, that's a good one. Let's look at Ruby. I mean, this thing. I need to change this back to my 1 minute, 1 day because this is annoying. Uh, I don't see a lot of good action from Friday on this thing. It just faded. Um, I mean, started the day above the support level 123. So, pretty good flag right here to get, 10 or 15 cents. But then the high volume stuff just killed it and just faded all the way from there. So, yeah, decent flag, especially if you marked that, low 120s area support and decent VPA to trade off of on the 5. At the open, you could have been in this thing. But after the stuff, I mean, nothing really good. Soxel. Jeez. I'm going to go back to 1 day, 1 minute. Okay. Just chop though, man. Like all these things, like no breakouts to be found anywhere. Like no edge either side. Like I guess you can buy dips. I mean, establish a demand zone. Like, you could do like this sort of thing and just buy every time it's in here, sell every time it's up here. But I just hate all this chop, man. I want breakouts. I play for breakouts, you know? And I also don't love stocks over $10, so it's just not my game. Blue, yeah, I mean grinded in here. I don't really see a lot of setups though. Like there's just nothing in here that I would want to buy. Like I know it grinded, but this hourly looks all right. You could have been soaking, I guess, off of low sevens, but looks okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right, let's look at a watch list for next week. And this one's a bigger watch list. So, and I've got some things that we reviewed before. So let's look at that. All right. ALLK, I said this before. After this dipped so hard and then reclaimed key support level. Okay, we'll look at BHC in a second. Now we have this nice flat top on the 5. I'm going to put an alert at 5 to see if we get the 5 break. Because that's, this was all pre-market. I don't know that anyone's really trapped, but we'll see if they get that 5 break and this can make a nice move. I mean, look at the range on this thing. So we'll put an alert there. Let's go ahead and put an alert with this drawing too, so we're aware when it comes to support area, because maybe we take a trade. Okay, APRN. No, let's go these other two that you guys asked for really quick. BHC. Yeah, it's kind of just grinding on the daily, decent volume. Had this big washout. Let's zoom this in a little bit. Yeah, I mean, 8's probably going to be a little bit of resistance in the 9. It is kind of in grind mode. Has this little kind of hourly flag above this 732 area. If you zoom into the 5 minute, that 736. Yeah, so this this area, if it can continue to hold as demand, yeah, maybe you can stay with this thing. But it is up here. I mean, look how much room it has to pull back. Yes, I do trade pre-market. We already looked at a Pixie a little bit earlier. But it's just so whippy and rangy, man. That price of stock is not something I want to fool with. Okay, Mullen. Ooh, I don't like Mullen. Um, this thing is just in a clear downtrend. It's just dying. I don't like anything about this. I don't want to touch it. I also don't like stocks under $1. Okay. APRN. Okay, this thing is very much still in breakout mode. Look at this nice volume as it continues to break out up here. We do have some pivots now. We want to see this thing find some support maybe off this 685 and continue, but this thing could pull all the way back down. If you look at this active trend that it's got going right here, maybe like we could see some confluence in that 685 to keep going. But after it pushed up, stuffed, and then came back down, I wouldn't be surprised to see this continue to trickle off. I mean, this might even be one that you start shorting against like 780s or even, 750. And I could see this fading off. So keeping it on watch because it is still intact, but that type of action right there is stuffy and potentially a trend killer, especially since you've tapped the upper trend line. Okay. AUR. We looked at this before. Really nice cup and handle. I'm very interested in this on watch. So I'm looking for dips off of 250, and I'm also looking for the break of 280. So I really like this one. Big watch. I'm gonna actually mark that one. Okay. DMS. That's a day one on Friday. And if we look on the daily here, just a big gap up candle. We'll see if it gives us maybe like an inside bar set up on Monday that we'd maybe trade Tuesday. But this one's just kind of letting it simmer to see how it digests all that volume because that was a big volume stick on the daily. FFIE. I like this little consolidation on the hourly. Just was bar coding, doesn't have much range, but we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of room for this thing to retrace if it wants to. Nice volume push off the bottom here, so it could definitely have some continuation. So I'm going to keep it on watch to see what it does. FRGE, I really like this pattern. We marked those levels earlier in the stream. Gonna keep on watch to see if it wants to get tighter and tighter against this 450 and maybe we get a trade. GovX back in play here, kind of maybe we get like a cup and handle type action. Maybe we get like some kind of inside bar or, cup and handle look or something for that 186 break. That you can see that 180 upper 180s is kind of that level we've got to get over to test the twos. So keep it on watch there. I've got this on watch because we've got this trend line. I think oil is still going to be a national narrative. So want to keep an eye on this one because, Indo's kind of the leader, but this one trades in the range that I like a lot better, and it directly simps off of Indo most of the time. So if you can get the right dips on this thing and catch the right momentum in the sector, there can be big trades on this. So just keeping it on the back burner. Higher. This one, kind of a failed breakout right here. You can see these levels that it finally got through and then dumped back down. So it's still holding support, so I'm keeping it on watch, but a little bit similar to APRN on sentiment that, this thing could have signaled the start of a backside move here. So tread cautiously on this one. This is not one that I want to be buying dips. This is one that I want to show strength before I play again. Same with APRN. IMRA, a little bit head and shoulders-y look right here, like that. Again, probably signaling backside. Has a lot of room to come down. Really needs to digest a little bit for that ADMA on the daily to catch up. But, still an active trend. We kind of have this trend line going. Maybe it holds and keeps going up, so we'll keep an eye on it. INM, really wide and loose here. Lots of upper wicks. This thing I'm keeping on watch because again it's active trend, but I want to see this thing tighten up before I am willing to play it. I see. This thing probably we got this high a day, but a falling star on the daily. People got a nice short trade if they were patient for the entries there on IC. Um, and I'm thinking this is probably backside now. I'm sort of interested, since this is ETB, in maybe a short trade, maybe even a short swing. Now, I'm not going to size into this. It's not my bread and butter. It's not something that I do often, but this could be something to short for backside. You do still kind of have the trend. It's not totally broken down yet, but that was a pretty big stuff there off of new highs on the daily and then closing beneath that support level. Could head and shoulders for us and then be a nice fader for, I mean, this could come all the way back in, and I think a lot of people will play it that way. But since it is ETB on Thinkorswim, it could squeeze out, so you want to be careful. Do I trade SPY when small caps are true? I'll trade SPY small. I'm actually much more interested in swinging SPY options because I like it. It respects trend lines so well on the daily. I actually took a put against that 407 on Friday. Really small in my swing account. I have this small little swing account that I do stuff like that just to kind of back test stuff. So I took a put, an October 400 put. So we'll see. I'm willing to add into it if it pushes up a little bit more, but if I see too much strength, I'll just cut. Okay, LQDA, we talked about that one. I'm still watching, still want it to break towards 7. Mogu. So Mogu was day one, similar to that other day, DMS, similar to DMS. We had this gap up on the daily. We'll see if it wants to hold like 250. We're already below that, but let's see if it finds support, maybe even 235. That's a nice level. Let's mark it 235 or 233s. We'll mark these pivots too. Okay, so want to see support here. This would be really nice, maybe an inside bar for continuation over $3. So keep it on watch. Monday is probably not the day to trade it. That's where we want to see how it digests, and then maybe Tuesday we get the 3 break. Nerve, still strong and still could retrace all the way back up. So still kind of watching dips on this. Not as much conviction as I had down here off of 860. That was a nice pivot on the daily to go off of. Maybe now we want to hold like 950. You can see this action in here in some of the confluence there on the hourly. So maybe if we hold 950, we can move up towards 12. So still on watch there. NVTA, look at this. You've got an hourly flag now over, I like this level here. You can see that consolidation and that pivot. So let's see if we can hold above 370s, and then maybe this has got some upside towards 5. Got a nice curl, got a nice trigger candle with some volume on the daily there. Okay, PGen. Okay, PGen, still love this chart. Hourly holding up. I know I got shaken out in that intraday, but we've got a pivot here at 266. It could also come down to this flat top here at 254. So want to see how this digests. Maybe again we get an inside bar, or maybe we get something that pulls back on low volume to give us an entry to go break 3. So keeping that on watch. Pixie's still on watch. This thing is fucking crazy. I don't know what's going to happen with this, but you got to keep it on watch because it's been wild and had range. PRTY, very much still in breakout mode, so this is still on watch. You can see these levels here. Once we get above here, there's still more of the gap to fill up to 3, so that seems likely. At this point, though, we're on this grind all the way up here. We could easily pull back to 220 and hold before we go up. So this has been such a slow mover. Don't want to be too aggressive on this thing, but it's showing strength. So this is the one that, when you see support levels being held intraday, you can have a little more conviction for a breakout. Okay, so that's PRTY. QNRX. This one I'm holding just because, we got nice volume off of lows there, and now we're kind of digesting sideways. We have a pivot here that I need to mark. As long as we keep holding this 350 area, maybe this has got so much range. I mean, maybe we grind back up. So keep it on watch, not my favorite. Ruby. This one reminds me of, I think it was maybe INAB from last week. Big stuff there, big sell off. As long as this trend stays intact, I'm going to keep it on watch, but it's starting to feel a little bit backside here. But we could totally hold $1 or $1.08 and continue to move up if we zoom out on the daily here on Ruby. Really nice volume day. I guess this is technically, let's see, is that an inside bar? Kind of. I mean, you do have like an inside range consolidation, so we'll see. We'll see how this holds up. I mean, I'm not going to be too aggressive with it, but we'll see if it stays intact. RVNC, this thing's crazy. I'm not like about to slap this thing, but look at this daily breakout on high volume. So, I mean, this thing is the type that could just continue to blast off. So, one thing you probably want to watch is like, this range in here. So I'm going to mark these levels and tell me when it pulls back. Okay, RVPH, still holding here. We'll see if it grinds back up, but like I could just see this breaking down. I don't know. I don't love this. Maybe if we get the 180 tap and hold, we can re-enter the swing again to push back up. I'm going to go do a trend line right here too. SHPH, this is again like the range that I don't like to trade, but it is kind of consolidating sideways here. We kind of have this upper trend line, so let's see if we get some kind of downtrend break. I'll put an alert on it. If we continue to hold this double bottom area here, I'll also put an alert there. Okay, SPRO. This one, we're holding this pivot in here. It's kind of a higher low. Nice low volume digestion after the big volume push up. So, decent technical look here off pivots. Let's mark this one as well. So yeah, I mean, this one, decent one to swing, honestly, if you because it's just low risk. Like you have the clear level it's got to hold. You got the 8 on the daily. You got double pivots here. It's so low down, and it could easily grind straight back up to 150 break and then test 2. So, oh, what's up, Dasbear? USEA, still on watch. This one, I know it kind of looks like a cup and handle, but we broke out of this pivot and then stuffed back down. So we'll see. I'm keeping it on watch. I don't really love it, but it is kind of in an uptrend after some volume in here. So we'll see. Okay, that was everything I planned to cover. What else? Any questions? Anything else you guys want to look at before we hop off? Was that helpful? Any feedback? Yeah, Daz, you need to get your ass back in there. Yeah, Alan, September is historically slow for small caps, as is August, but August was one of our hotter months this year. I think ever since the COVID rally and everything went ballistic, it's almost like throw everything out the window that you used to know. This is all new territory for us. Like this is all now like what is trading like post-COVID, and we're kind of digesting what that is all the time. I mean, we've had some really shitty markets this year, so it's kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen. Good, glad you enjoy it, Uzis. What else we got, fam? We're right at about an hour, which is where I wanted to be, but we can spend a few more minutes if there's stuff you guys want to see or talk about. SPPI. Okay, got something after hours. This daily looks nice, actually. What is this thing? Spectrum Pharmaceuticals. Um, got news, halted news. Rolvedon has been approved. Okay, so that was an after hours news release. Let's mark these pivots and see where they are on the chart. So very clear areas to get through here, which it did, but then it gave it all back, and now we're down in these 140s, which let's see where we can maybe find support. Yeah, I like 130 as a support area. Maybe this 135, maybe these pivots. Look at these lines I just marked, Cosmic. Like if I do this, to me, oops, that's not a good area. Let's do like here. To me, this whole area is like an indecision zone. Like it needs to get above here for strength, but if it's below here, it's weak, and in between is all chop. And look how much of the chart that is. So like I don't have conviction really in here. Like maybe if I'm buying in these areas because my risk is tight, but like anything in between, it could do anything. I mean, this could easily just be chop. So it needs to prove strength to me by getting over this pivot, and maybe if it does and it pulls back to it, I'd be interested. Or maybe off of 130s in here, see if it holds that pivot. Maybe then. That's kind of how I see this thing. But the chart's nice. It got nice volume, nice news seemingly, big pop, and then it's digesting above. It didn't give it all back and go down. So that's kind of what I think on this one. Hey, thanks, Tundar. Appreciate that a lot. What else you guys got? What else? This is good. Drinking a mimosa right now. Saturday morning ritual. I'll say this right now. The market is really fucking tough in small caps. Like Mikey's struggling, Thiz is struggling, Herv's struggling, I'm struggling. August had some heat, but my August was really hot in the beginning, and then I was profitable all the way through, but like my gains were less and less every week. And then September started okay, but then I was Red Friday. So I'm prepared for a slower, less profits month on September. I mean, this is where it's like so critical to be so disciplined to buy on support, scale profits quickly, protect your capital. This is kind of a survival market. Like, yes, we want to make money, but the goal right now is to be in the game when stuff heats up, because you never know when that's going to happen. I mean, it'll drop like a hammer and you don't want to miss it. But also don't be giving away big red days. So we're really just trying to survive, and this is where you can really cut your teeth. I mean, if you can trade with discipline in these markets, then when it is hot, you're going to thrive. So that's what you need to be focusing on. Even if you don't make a lot of gains right now, or you're even a little red, you want to go back and you want to look at your trades just like I did and be like, okay, that's a big lesson. I've got to hammer into my head for the next trading day and make sure I improve in that area. And, I've really got to be buying on support. I've really got to be disciplined about that. If you do that and you keep, your edge sharp, I mean, you guys saw some of the size I took on those trades. When those things actually do fucking break out and go, because you've seen it, it happens, I'm going to bank. Okay? So that's where my head's at. How many hours do I trade a day? I have not been trading pre-market that much. I'll sit down maybe like 8:30 and see what's going on and kind of get my thumbnails in check, see what news is out there. But really, I start trading at the bell 9:30, and then I will trade until 4. I don't do after hours trading anymore. I pretty much always lose in after hours. I'm tired by then. Um, I, I don't like after hours, especially in this market. Do you think others are targeting plays called on the floor? They very well could be. We've seen this happen before in slower markets. I don't know who that is. I don't really know the dynamics of what's going on behind the scenes when we, call a good-looking chart and then it just gets fucking shit on. I promise you, it's not us. I like one thing I will say about the leaders of our room: we do not front load pump and dump. That's not what we do. If we call a name, we are buying it when we call it, and we are holding it with you guys. I mean, you saw my trades on there. I took the fucking loss with you guys. So I don't know who's doing that. I don't know if it's shorts, market makers, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it does feel like, oh man, this is a good setup, and we call it, and then volume comes in, it starts to break out, and then it just shits the bed. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on with that, man. We just gotta take note of the market conditions and keep trying to trade good setups. That's all we can do. Yeah, the market moves the same way. I mean, the market has moved the same way for, this is what Ariel, real simple Ariel always says. The market has been moving the same way for like 100 years or more. It's not going to continue, it's not going to stop moving the same way. I mean, like patterns that worked 100 years ago still work. Um, but, seeing a lot of stuffs, a lot of false breaks, a lot of just, it'd be interesting to like look at the shape of charts now versus charts at other times, and I wonder if there's similarities or differences right now, or if it all just kind of ends up being the same in the end. I don't know. Definitely on shorter time frames it's tougher, but maybe the larger time frames are still playing out, and it's just choppier intraday. I don't know. Yeah, I'm familiar with Warrior. I've watched some of his stuff. He's if he's catching stuff at the right time in pre-market and catching volume at the right time, he's probably doing okay. But I know a lot of breakouts are not doing good, so he could be getting screwed on some breakout plays. I don't know. I don't really trade like him. One other thing that I will say that is so important is, um, you know, we're doing our best to create a great culture in Goblin Gang, one where our community kind of is interactive and flourishes with each other and is supportive and encouraging. Um, Connect with people, slide into people's DMs. If you like how someone trades, hit them up, get a peer, get a mentor, get a group to trade with. That's been so crucial for me. Um, and Fizz gets a ton of DMs. So does Mikey. So does Gary. So does Tommy. Like, you're going to get a lot more out of reaching out to someone who's like maybe just above where you're at, because they're not going to be in as high demand. They're going to be more relatable to where you're at. Um, that's what I would be doing. Yeah, pre-market's been slow. We just haven't had that news to spark a sector, to spark the market. Yeah, I mean, there's money to be made in pre-market for sure, but I don't want to um, I don't want to get too heavy on something when you can't mark it out. If the bid falls out on you, you could be screwed. I don't like getting stuck in stuff in pre-market. What EMAs are you using on the 5? On all of my charts, I use the 8 EMA, the 20 EMA. I don't even know if I have the 50 anymore. I took some of them off, but I like the 8, 20. I think I have 50, but I don't pay attention to it too much, and the 200. On the daily, I like the 200 EMA and SMA, just as a support area or a resistance area. Contacted all, but only you've been the one who reached out and responded. That's the thing is they're like they get so many DMs, and we always want to try to help and answer, but especially if you're newer, so many people can answer questions for newer traders. Like there's a wealth of information that a lot of people know the answers to. Um, So, if you see someone who's killing it on the floor that, is not one of the goblins or a leader, they're much more likely to respond to stuff like that. There's a lot of great traders that aren't, the 10, 12, 100,000 follower people. So, as you can imagine, like if you go to the most high demand one, I mean, you're going to get less of their attention. It's just how it is. All right, a few more minutes and then we'll wind it down. If you've got any more questions, you use the clown emoji. Why'd you use the clown emoji, Gazelle? Here, I'll do that right now. Sounds like you know not to use the clown emoji on something anymore. Some people get pretty. Here's what I'll say about the clown emoji, because while that seems so stupid and trivial, as someone who is recently posting ideas on the floor, um, you're really putting yourself out there to post this idea, and it does feel shitty when your idea doesn't work. It's not like, oh, because I know people take those trades, right? Like I want to put good ideas out there. I don't want to put bad ideas out there. And like, yeah, if you're calling someone a clown for the idea they put out there, like if someone types on the floor like an idea, like they've thought about it, they think it's a good idea, they think people can make money on it, and so you're kind of being vulnerable doing that. And when people either put a shit emoji or a clown emoji or whatever, like yeah, it's pretty annoying. So you can be upset, but like if our play doesn't work, I promise you we're just as upset. Like we don't want that fucking shit to happen. We're taking that loss with you, bro. All right, Gazelle, unbanned. If you shoot me a DM, I'll send you the invite. Okay, 3 more minutes and then we're closing it down. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you haven't subscribed to my Twitch yet, please do. Trying to get my socials and content going a little bit more, and this will be on YouTube. Go check out my YouTube too. If I have BOFO bites that are longer than like that 2 minute limit that Twitter has, I'll start putting them on YouTube um, for you guys. Um, do I do some extra price action studies to improve my trading? What do you mean by that? I mean, yeah, I study price action all the time. That's like I've done a lot of BOFO bites on like the traps, which is not a like easy and intuitive thing, especially for newer traders. Yeah, just DM me on Twitter, Gazelle. Sign up for Twitter Blue. Can you upload 10 minutes? Oh, really? That's good. Okay. Well, maybe I need to do that. Education. I still don't know what you mean, Uzis. Do you use MAs to let your position ride? Having trouble catching the bigger moves. Yeah, but I use levels more. I mean, EMAs are good. Like for example, like what was one that had uh, like if we go back to higher, right? This isn't really a good example. Like I use levels more, and this is a decent example on APRN, right? This is that one that I got. I just took it off too early, and I don't know why. Like this is a pivot that it put in this 733, and it held it. And then when it pushed back up, like you can see, like these EMAs, they get broken through on the one especially, but it's a higher low. What I'm playing off of is this level and this level, this 735 and 733. That's what I'm playing off of. I don't really give a fuck where the EMAs are. And you can see, here it pulls down through the 8. Like there's no EMAs to go off of for this inverse head and shoulders level. Now, okay, so 5-minute flag, what's one that worked? Let's go to that, what was it, DMS? Okay, okay, so we had this flag work. Let's look. So what I'll say about the EMAs, EMAs can help you decide like what you might have multiple levels and pivots that you think like, oh, maybe it holds here, maybe it holds here, maybe it holds here, right? Like it's not always super clear on what level it's going to hold. So, for example, like if you see this put in this big move, and let's say I see this level at 2, or this level right here, this is good. We have a pivot here at 218, and maybe I see this push up and I'm like, oh, maybe it holds 218. Well, the 8 has so much room to catch up that 218 might be too high. That might be too high to play off of. So it can kind of give you a frame of reference of like, for a really strong 5-minute flag move, we want it to typically hold the 8. So it's an additional piece of confluence for you, but I'm never looking at like, oh, the ADMA is at exactly 212 and that's my level. I don't think that way. I look for pivots and I look for, breakout areas and demand zones. And when I find confluence with a rising ADMA, that kind of gives me extra conviction in the level that I've identified, if that makes sense. Yeah, BBBY has been a good one technically. Yes, Aziz. There is literally no replacement for screen time. There are things that you just cannot learn from a book. You cannot learn from anyone telling you. You can't even learn from my streams. Like you have to see this shit moving on your ladder, on your tape, on your level 2. You have to see how these things are behaving at the price levels you're interested in. You have to see how these things are behaving at trend lines that you've drawn, at levels you've drawn, at times of the day. There's just no replacement for it. You just like this is the analogy that I try to use. Like if I am really good at hitting a golf ball and we go to the driving range, you can see me hit a golf ball, and when you swing and hit a golf ball, I can tell you like, oh, try to keep your elbow in, like, oh, keep your left arm straight. Like I can give you pointers, but you can't hit a golf ball like I can until you get on the range and you hit 1,000 golf balls. That's how it works. There's no magic bullet that I can give anyone. Stop using EMAs. Just have VWAP. Yeah. Yep. Trend lines, wedges, triangles lately. Yeah, use what works for you. I mean, price action is king. Um, levels are king. Like any of these indicators, these lagging indicators, they're just kind of noise at a certain point. 100% cosmic. And yes, Sala, record your screen. I do it all the time. And significant action, I'll go back and watch. And I know that I'm like putting out BOFO Byte content for you guys, but it's so helpful for me too, because when I'm going back and finding the stuff that I'm putting in these BOFO bytes, like I'm looking at my screen records and I'm seeing, what I was thinking in real time, and I'm seeing how it played out. I mean, it's immensely helpful. Like if you think that you're going to understand trading and like just kind of get the hang of it, by putting in a couple hours a day, like this is not one of those things. Like you guys know how much money is possible to make in the market. That being the case, like there are people who are dedicating their every moment to sharpening their edge to get good at this. Like, why would you think that you're going to be as good or better than them if you're not doing the same thing? Like this takes so much work. So, just be real with yourself. Like, are you putting in what it takes to be good at this? Because the level to reach success is not a low one. Okay, we're gonna wind it down here, and I've been going for an hour and 27 minutes, so we're gonna go for like 3 to 5 more minutes, and then we'll be done. What else can we talk about? What else would be good, guys? Time to refill my mimosa too. My month, August, I made 35,000, so pretty good month. Trying to push the gas more. I'm trying to make at least 20 a month right now. The gargolon indicator, what's that? Oh, Dasmere. September's gonna be tougher though. I gotta keep it up. Have a good Saturday first, Cosmic. Oh shit, I gotta go. I'm gonna watch some football here in a little bit. Let's see. Isn't isn't Alabama playing right now? Oh, come on. That's the Fall Guys music, by the way. Oh wow, this is fucking close. I gotta go watch this. Texas is actually beating Alabama right now. Sick. Fuck Alabama. I'm an Auburn Tiger. We suck, but I still want Alabama to lose. I want Alabama to lose almost as much as I want Auburn to win. That's when you know you have a good rivalry. Okay, pretty good games. I'm gonna go watch. Okay, probably. Let's see. Do you ease off or break at all anytime after the open? I feel like first hour, maybe hour and a half, I trade the best, then it's not as good anymore. Normally told. Yeah. Um, that first hour, hour and a half is definitely the hottest. That's when you're going to get the biggest, most explosive moves. But if something can explode upwards, it can also explode downwards. So that's the two sides of the coin. You got to be, if you're going to trade, especially those first few minutes of the open, you got to be fucking quick. If you're going to trade the first hour, you got to be pretty quick. Some people do better in that midday because it's a lot slower and they're able to be a lot more disciplined and patient because it does move slower. So to each their own. I've studied my statistics for months and months and months, and I have not necessarily found a good correlation that like, oh, I'm great early in the day and then I'm shitty in the middle of the day. Like sometimes I'm good in the middle of the day. Um, so for me, I trade all day. If there's a good setup, I'm going to take it, but I am mindful of like what time of the day it is. First pullback on IC around 9:35. IC was in breakout mode. I'm a little bit annoyed with myself that I missed the front side of this. Um, so I was watching this thing here. This is good. This is a good question, okay? Because let me show you. Wait, is this the right day? I think there's more. Yeah, this is not the right day. Yeah, okay. So let's look left for a second. Where did this hold? 19. So you do kind of have this area here, which makes sense for it to hold, but this early in the day, this is not a deep enough pullback for me to enter. This could come down so far. If this came down to 1880s, I would have hit the fuck out of it. This pivot, I mean, this is beautiful. Like high volume push up. Like, look at this volume here. This is even like higher volume even. Like, if this came down here with a flash wick, I would have hit the fuck out of it long. But this is not a big enough pullback for me to enter. This is too high. Imagine this. If I would have had entries up here and this thing come all the way back down, like what, 30 cents? I would have looked so dumb showing you guys this trade if I had entries up here and it came down. Like I knew it went, but this is a really high hold. So that's why I didn't play it, but I was watching this thing. I mean, this much strength out of the gate, this much volume, clear breakout over 1935, especially since it's pushing this double top high of day on the daily. I mean, that's big resistance. I'm of course not buying right against that. I needed this thing to come down here for the break above. That's what I was looking for. So that's why I didn't take it. You thought about live trading? Not really. I'm like when I'm trading, like I am dialed in. I don't want another thing going on monkeying with what I'm doing. I know middle of the day, Thiz does some Twitch stuff, and like maybe when things are slower, I can do some live trading. I don't know, but it's not really on my radar right now. Uziz, you're welcome, man. I enjoy doing it. I'm passionate about trading. It's what I love. So hanging out, talking about it, one, it's helpful for me to study, and two, I love it. So that's why I'm here. Okay, guys, gonna wrap up here. Nice little hour and a half session. I'm prepared with my watch list. I'm prepared with my lessons learned, and I'm gonna be ready to go on Monday. I can't wait for Monday. I want to redeem myself from that red day. I did a good job of doing that after last weekend's study session. So I'm gonna, on those slower plays, my biggest takeaway is I'm gonna establish my risk level, make sure I'm sizing in appropriately to hold through that risk level. Okay, last question. How long did it take you to become a profitable trader? Okay, short nutshell of my story. I started trading in March 2020. I was walking in knowing literally nothing. I didn't have an investment account. My friends told me that I didn't even know day trading was a thing. So I just went down the rabbit hole March 2020. I quickly had initial success for like a month or two. I was like, oh man, this is so easy. Quickly gave all those profits back. I ended 2020 small red. 2021 went gangbusters the first couple of months. I mean, I was following Zach Morris. I was following other people on Twitter, and the market was just going crazy. Sympathy market was going crazy. So I made a buttload of money. But then after March, I very quickly lost all that and just started bleeding out into the end of the year. I was very red and like going into August last year, but June and July was when I was like, oh shit, like I really got to take this seriously. I've either got to decide I'm going to buckle down and do this or I got to give up. And so I found Herv and Royalty. I found Thiz. I found Mikey. I reached out to Herv. I asked him for a call. Herv was just like a no colored name member in Royalty, but I studied him and I liked how he traded, and I sent him a DM and said, hey, do you mind taking some time to have a call with me? I've been studying how you trade and what you call on the floor. I like your style. I want to emulate your style of trading. All I ask is that you show up for a call. I'm going to have questions prepared. You don't have to do anything. Just show up. And he said, yeah. And that's what I did. And we hit it off and we became best friends. And we've been trading together ever since. And I had a call with Real Simple Ariel at the end of July. And he talked some sense into me. I remember two things he said was, are you too good for $20? If you're walking down the street and you see a $20 bill on the pavement, are you going to just walk past it or are you going to pick it up? Obviously, the answer is you pick it up. Okay, so you're not too good for a $20 trade. If you get green on your screen, you take your base hits and you only buy red candles. That's the things he told me. And then literally the next day was August 1st, and I went on a 6-week green streak just from starting to do that. That was like the beginning of me having discipline. That was the beginning of me taking profits off the table. It was just a total paradigm shift. Um, so 6 weeks of green, I got a big head. I unwound. I refused to be wrong. I gave all those profits back, and I started this cycle of several months of having nice, consistent green, and then just having a humongous red day or week or whatever that would give it all back. So I was doing this and just like chopping for months. And then coming into this year, that's just constantly improved. I've been busting my ass every single day trying to get better at this, and I'm getting a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. So 2022, I am green. I'm very much, starting to break out, and I'm getting more and more profitable. So I guess it's been 2.5 years is how long it took me. Um, and the work is not done. I've got to keep my edge sharp, and I've got to keep hitting the gas now and try to do bigger size. So that's where I'm at. That's my story. Entered the bear market. Yep, yep. I think a lot of us came in 2020, and it's been really tough to make it this far. I think FinTwit kind of feels like a ghost town in that way. Um, there's a lot of people that have quit that came in 2020. So anyway, we need the market to spark back up again. We've been in this bear market. The overall market's been in this bear market for a long time. It's definitely affected small caps. But I do think we'll see some heat in small caps eventually again. And like those of us that have been busting our ass through this choppier time are razor sharp and ready to like hit the fucking gas when it does heat up. Like that is why I'm here every day. That's why I take a red day on Friday, because when it heats up, I want to be here. When we get those huge moves and those sympathy markets, I want to be here because I'm going to make bank. And these little red days that I'm taking right now when the market's choppy aren't going to mean shit. Yes, I am going to record this. It's going to be on my Twitch for a week, and because that's only how long they hold it, but it will also be on my YouTube. So you can find it on my YouTube. But okay, guys, I'm bouncing. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed it. Time frame, yeah. I mean, you can see my setup right here, guys. I have the daily, I have the hourly, I have the 5 minute, I have the 1 minute. So if I'm doing a watch list or whatever, I want to see what it looks like on the daily, and then I'll zoom in. I want to see what it looks like on the hourly, and then I trade intraday on the 1 and the 5. So my levels I usually draw on the hourly, but you can see them on all time frames pretty much. Okay, guys, I'll catch you next time. I'll try to put out maybe a BOFO buy it with some real price action from my screen record sometime this weekend, maybe tomorrow. And then I will catch you guys on Monday. But thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it.